Outbreaks of rain will continue to extend westwards over Ireland this evening. Damp and misty in most areas tonight with some heavy rain at times. Lowest temperatures of 10 to 13 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
All right, it's Thursday nights Off the Ball. Nathan with you until 10 o'clock. Busy show ahead. A lot of John Giles coming your way over the next 3 hours. He'll be with us shortly, as always, at 7:30, because football is back and he's going to be giving us his thoughts on David Luiz, which may take quite a while, and the job facing Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. And then on the football show, we'll be continuing our series with John of his all-time 11s. I suspect there might be a little bit of controversy with tonight's selection. It's a combined Celtic Rangers 11 since 1960. So how many of the Lisbon Lions will get in? There's been some OK Rangers teams in there as well, and John is going to go through all of them on the football show from 9 o'clock. You can get your thoughts in on 53106. After 8, we've got Keith Wood's State of the Union. This week we've been looking at the women's game. We've some brilliant guests on that and the future of the women's game and the cutbacks that may well be coming, how they will deal with that. So that's all coming up between now and 10. As I say, 53106 at Off the Ball on Twitter. If you're out and about, if you're heading out for a bit of a walk, even though it looks a bit miserable out this evening, the best place to stay tuned, to listen in or to watch in, is on the OTB Sports app, which you can download right now. Richie McCormick is with me. One night in studio and he's abandoned ship.
Absolutely. I got the smell that you lads have left in there residually is just not worth hanging around for. So I've decamped back to McCormick Towers.
All right, I'll be talking to HR about that for starters, Richie. What are we wearing tonight? It's not a fashion show, you know.
I know. I feel like it's turning into one. I feel like I should actually make an effort for you. Palmeiras, yeah.
Very nice. Is that a retro jersey or is that their current jersey?
This is from 2018. So 2 years ago now at this stage.
Very good. Ronan Mullen, are you there?
Nathan, I'm here. How are things?
I'm very well. How are you keeping?
All good. Can't complain.
Good. So football's back. Did you enjoy its return?
I did. It was kind of the first game. It didn't exactly set things alight. It wasn't the most glamorous game to kick things off, but we did have some good old-fashioned VAR controversy. And yes. Joe was mentioning, did we think that maybe the events of the last 100 days might have put things in perspective for people a little bit? But that was clearly not the case, because the people were in raptures over the whole thing, and quite rightly so. I think it's kind of taken as read that the goal line technology, amidst all the outside, technologies that have been brought into football in recent years, that's kind of one of the foolproof ones that we can rely on. But sometimes you just have to rely on the mechanics of your own eyes. And if I was Michael Oliver, it seemed quite clear that the ball was miles over the line and was over the line for a good time. So I don't know how he didn't just trust his own judgment. And then surely the fail-safe in that instance is that when VAR are shown multiple angles and everyone at home can see them, that the goal should have been awarded. And it could be a very costly 2 points for Sheffield United, because as we've documented, they're well on course to at least challenge for a Champions League place. And if it comes to the bit that those 2 points deny them, I'm sure we'll be hearing about it for a long time. It
is a deep philosophical question of, if we can't trust Hawkeye, who can we trust? Who can we trust? If the goal line, if the watch doesn't buzz, you can't doubt the watch.
You see, ultimately, that's the problem we find ourselves in, is that Michael Oliver and the officiating unit as a whole trusted Hawkeye too much, and generally trust Hawkeye too much. I mean, this is supposed to be a foolproof system, and one that stops these incidents from happening, and one that should never be opened up to, there's 7 cameras, they said, in the goal. Hawkeye issued their own apology after the match last night. 7 cameras in and around the goal, and they said that Nyland, the ball defender, and another, I think actually the post, did enough to occlude, was the word that they used in the press release.
Don't worry, I googled it straight away. I was reading the statement live on air. What was the exact definition of it? Go on, give me occluded.
I don't have the definition. I just used for obstructed.
I
but either way. Yeah, but you could have just said that. But either way, they trust Hawkeye. They trust the goal line technology so implicitly that to look at it and to not have that watch beep, Michael Oliver et al. Would have been there going, well, clearly it's not a goal, despite what my eyes are telling me, because the thing didn't buzz and there's been no remonstration from VAR. So we're just going to continue on. But like ultimately, if this costs Sheffield United a Champions League place, it's almost not worth thinking about. Even the head that'll be on Chris Wilder by the end of the season, should that come to pass, I mean, it doesn't bear thinking about. But I guess it should highlight what a fantastic job that man has done in charge of the club to bring them to such a point in the season. Live
production meeting, and we need the feedback from the listeners as well. So we had our first commentary. We're back. Commentaries, 2 of them every Sunday, all the big games midweek as well, right here on Off the Ball. So myself and Brian Kerr had coverage of Arsenal, Manchester City. No crowd noise, just au natural. Myself and Brian Kerr last night. And I'm wondering, from anybody who was listening, we do have the option of feeding through the fake crowd noise if we want. And when you're actually broadcasting, it sounds very different to what's going out on air. So I'm not quite sure. It is slightly surreal, obviously, trying to commentate on a game when there's nobody there and you're almost having to generate the excitement yourself and not respond to what's happening with the crowd. But I'm just wondering what our listeners think. Should we go and pipe through this fake crowd noise, or should we just have Murphy and Kerr on full blast? What do you think, guys?
Can we mute your microphone when you're on and just keep Ryan?
Oof, that's jeez, well, it's essentially that anyways.
I don't know, but I think there actually is, as weird as it is, there is enough to be said for the fake crowd noise in just... And this isn't a personal dig for once. There is something about it dampening down the voices of all commentators, not just yours. I mean, you've seen it on BT during the course of their Bundesliga coverage. You see it on La Liga TV, and we see it as well over the last 24 hours in the Premier League. It kind of even things out a little bit from a sonic sense, and I think there is something to be said in that. I think,
but I agree with you. But I think a radio commentary is different to a TV commentary, because the TV commentary, at least you're seeing the pictures. That from a radio commentary, you still need that bit of excitement to keep the audience interested.
I think you can still balance it out, because you don't have... Obviously, I'm speaking from a radio producer's standpoint here, because we've obviously had Atmos mics at games and stuff like that, and we kind of have to alter the level to which we use them. But I think even something in the background would actually just make the overall sound of the game just a tiny little bit better, even if it is, faked.
And to what extent are commentators going to be self-conscious when they're in the stadium? I know if you're Jamie Carragher, the answer is not very, because as David Luiz was trudging off the pitch yesterday, he was giving him both barrels. So I'm sure it's very audible in the stadium. We could certainly hear all the players and managers giving instructions. So I'm sure the commentators can be heard. And Martin Tyler similarly wasn't taking anything off his commentary. He was going full blast. So I wonder, will that change? I wonder what they're listening to. They presumably are just listening to the natural sounds as well.
53106, let us know. The power is in your hands. If there's an overwhelming majority one way or the other, we may take heed for once to what you actually want. I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. It's Hawkeye now, it'll be Skynet next. The machines will be our masters in the blink of an eye. And looking forward to John Giles. Looking forward to John Giles, a politics-free zone. Well, generally...
This is Celtic Rangers.
Generally, it's a politics-free zone. Tonight, it's a combined Celtic Rangers team. Whew. Yeah. That's a stress that John probably didn't need at this stage. But
what a week upon him. What a week for unlikely coalitions, though, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have to say, just looking at the records of the two clubs, we don't have to get into it now. I'm sure you're going to get into it with John, but just from my own reading into it, that it's not really a matter of tit for tat with these teams. There's just swathes, decades long spells where one club is just wholly dominant and the other club is just sitting in the passenger seat. So they kind of swap dominance. So obviously we're living through a Celtic dominated era, but does that mean we're right on the precipice of 10 years of Rangers? I don't know. I don't want to put that into Celtic people's minds, but
that's what the history books suggest.
Yeah.
Right, let's get into this news round, Richie. Football is back and signs continuing that rugby is going to return.
Yeah, seemingly so. The Guinness Pro 14 is targeting an August 22nd return date in each of its 5 territories. Teams are going to play a 13-round season, reduced from 21. The season will play out with a pair of rounds of local derby matches, with the IRFU already indicating that those will be played at the Aviva Stadium in the last 2 weekends of August. The top 2 teams in each conference will meet in the semi-finals on September the 5th, ahead of a grand final, which will take place on September 12th.
So Jack Grealish obviously played last night. In the news again today?
Yeah, and not just for his hair. Aston Villa captain Jack Grealish has been charged with driving without due care and attention and failing to stop at a collision Police, were called to an incident on the morning of March 29th in Solihull in the West Midlands region of England. They were responding to reports that a Range Rover had crashed into 2 parked cars in the street. Grealish must appear before Birmingham Magistrates Court on August 25th. He's already been fined by his club for this incident and apologised in the immediate aftermath.
Fake crowd noise didn't work when the Germans took on Michael Caine, Ozzy Ardiles, Pele and Sly Stallone in Paris. So we should learn from that.
Yeah, but the actual crowd noise at what was supposed to be the Stade de Colombe was actually filmed in Budapest. It was just remarkable. I will say again that Marseillaise by the crowd in Escape to Victory is the finest moment in cinematic history.
I'll take your word for it.
Speaking of the... Have you never seen it?
I have, yes, but I'm about to do something else right now, Richie. On the subject of the Premier League coming back last night, Now TV have all of the sports channels you need in 2 separate packs. You can watch Sky Sports on the Now TV Sky Sports Pass, and you can watch BT Sport and Premier Sports on the Sports Extra Pass. You can sign up for a day pass, a week pass, or a month-long pass, and you'll be able to stream live sports like the Premier League, Serie A, PGA Tour, Formula 1, and lots more. Search Now TV Sports to find out more. So, transfer news, Timo Werner, is it fully confirmed?
Done and done. Timo Werner says joining Chelsea feels like the right step for his career. The Premier League side have paid almost 60 million euro for the RB Leipzig striker. Werner scored 32 goals in all competitions this season for Leipzig and will formally join Chelsea in July, foregoing the rest of Leipzig's Champions League campaign. They're in the quarterfinals, which get underway, as we learned yesterday, in Lisbon in August.
Yeah, that's a big part of this story that hasn't been massively talked about, that with the way the transfer window is working, Chelsea may lose Pedro, who it seems is going to refuse to play because he wants to go and join Roma, but they're going to gain Timo Werner, but only for next season, I presume?
Yeah, Premier League rules suggest that even though FIFA have opened up the allowance of playing for 3 different clubs in one transfer period, and also the addition of players to your roster from the regular transfer or contract period, essentially the Premier League aren't going to allow it. So the likes of Hakim Ziyech and the likes of Timo Werner, even though they will be eligible come July 1st, aren't actually going to play for Chelsea this season. But should Chelsea pull off a miracle in the last 16 of the Champions League and get to the quarterfinals, that's when things could get a little bit interesting.
That he could be eligible?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but that's not going to happen. They're 3-0 down to Bayern Munich?
Yeah.
All right, so we don't.
But then again, like we talked about the home and away advantage kind of stuff before with the Bundesliga, whether or not that matter. I mean, who knows? We could be looking at a really buoyant Chelsea going into that game against Bayern Munich, who kind of have their trotters up after winning the Bundesliga.
Do you think in the long term that's going to look like good value for money, or will the presumably skewed transfer figures that are coming down the tracks going to make it look like they overshadowed a little bit? Because it is even though like inflation being what it is in the football market, it's not totally immune. It has shown in previous decades that it has been resilient, but you just never know. That 60 million could seem like an awful lot of money in a couple of years.
He needs a good first season.
Yeah,
he really needs a good first season. If he has a good first season, then we've forgotten about how much he costs, pretty much from the off. But if he doesn't, then if transfer prices do start to drop across Europe, and to the level that we would have expected him to possibly go to Liverpool for, if it happened next summer, then Chelsea may look like they've definitely overshot their wad in this instance, especially if they go back to Germany and try to sign
what now?
From Bayer Leverkusen.
Dear God, Richie, keep it clean. Come on. It's only 16 minutes.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Well,
get your mind out of the gutter.
Where for your mind to be. It's going to be one of the more fascinating parts of the transfer market to see if there is any sort of a dip. You see the figures that Manchester United still look to be dealing in, with Koulibaly, Napoli still expecting 100 million, Jack Grealish for 85 million. That doesn't suggest that there's going to be any massive decline at the very, very top, but I guess we shall see. So, coronavirus testing in the Premier League, the results are in for the latest round?
One positive case of coronavirus in the Premier League's latest round of testing. It's after more than 1,500 players and members of staff at top-flight clubs were screened on Monday and Tuesday. The unnamed person, doesn't specify if it's a player or not, will now self-isolate for 7 days. Meanwhile, Manchester United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says he's immensely proud of Marcus Rashford for helping others during the lockdown. On Tuesday, the British government made a U-turn on a decision not to extend free school meal vouchers in England following the footballer's campaign online. Solskjaer says the 22-year-old sets a great example for others both on and off the pitch.
Oh, well, we're, as a club, and me as his manager as well, of course, it's been fantastic to follow Marcus throughout the lockdown period as well. He's not only the last that we got the Prime Minister to change his mind, but also what he's done over the last few months is Marcus is such a top human being, and he's brought his own experiences as a kid into this conversation and changed the lives of so many kids, as you say. So he's already been captain of the club at such a young age, and he's proving all the time his human qualities, which is a main attribute for a Man United player, along with his qualities as a player, of course.
Yeah, Manchester United back in action tomorrow night against Spurs. Tomorrow morning on OTBAM, the latest Mount Rushmore. This time we're talking Derry. So Chrissy McCaig and Cara O'Kane are going to be choosing this. Ronan, the shortlist is impressive. It's Anthony Tohill, Martin O'Neill, Joe Brolly, Jason Smith. What about a footballer, James McLean? One of the modern players, Shane
Liam
Duffy.
Coyle.
Daryl Gurney, you like that, Richie?
No. Liam Coyle.
Liam Coyle, potentially.
Got to be one in there.
You're not having Daryl Gurney?
No.
Why?
Is Harry Gregg? See Derry?
It's a great question. It's a great question.
I think
Throwing it right into the mixer there. John Duddy. John Duddy, Ronan?
Oh, John Duddy, what a hero. Boxer turned actor, rather, but I think people will appreciate his acting exploits. But a bit of a legendary figure, headlined many fights in Madison Square Garden, so no small feat.
What do you think? Any of the modern footballers? Does James McLean get in there?
Not if you're going to include Harry Gregg.
Martin O'Neill surely has to go in there.
Martin O'Neill has to be in there, doesn't he?
Anthony Toll as well.
He won 2 European Cups. Did he mention that?
Eamon Coleman? Very much.
Yeah, Coleman's a good shout, yeah.
A legendary figure in Derry. So if you've got Coleman and Tohill, Martin O'Neill, you got what? One left.
Harry Gregg.
Harry Gregg.
Harry Gregg's definitely from Derry.
Well, that's what we have to check.
Just Google it. Yeah.
He's from Maherafelt.
Yeah. And as a Maherafelt, he is from Derry.
Okay.
Old Dapper match joke there.
Right. I'm looking at Wikipedia of Maherafelt, and it doesn't look like it's in Derry. I think their map is a little bit skewed, which is quite a mistake to be making. I got to be quite honest. Well, if Harry Gregg's there, then you got Martin O'Neill, Harry Gregg, Anthony Tohill, Eamon Coleman. End of. We all happy with that?
I don't think that's end of, to be fair.
All
right, cancel the piece. Let them find a new hour.
All right. 53106, if you have any thoughts on Maherafelt and Harry Gregg definitely being from Maherafelt and Wikipedia being wrong with their map. What else you got for us, Richie?
Tottenham boss Jose Mourinho says Harry Kane will start tomorrow's Premier League return at home to Manchester United. The England captain's been out since New Year's Day, having recovered from an operation on a hamstring injury. However, Mourinho says Kane not playing for 6 months presents a number of questions.
Harry Kane doesn't play football for more than 6 months. So again, he's working extremely well. I can tell you, no problem. He's going to start the game. Does Harry have 90 minutes, 80, 70, 60? I don't know. I think only the game will tell us that. Is he in the top of his form? We don't know. Is not a little training session with our friends from Norwich that is going to tell us the answer. But for him, is, I don't know, but around 6 months without playing a football match. But he worked extremely well. He's an amazing professional, and he's going to start tomorrow. Yeah.
Andrew Trimble.
Hell of a shout, yeah. Jason Smith is another one, actually.
Oh, yeah.
He really deserves a call for that one. This is getting a little bit more complicated now. Maybe don't cancel the item.
Okay, we'll let them at it tomorrow morning, so you can listen in or watch that on the OTB app. Just for laughs, why not play crowd noise from a GEA game during one of the upcoming Premier League matches? Who might notice? Only you would know. I'm just not sure. As a radio commentator, your job is to paint a colourful picture of the event. That event includes an empty stadium. You and Brian do it well. No fake noise. Okay, we'll take that. I'm going to take that, Richie. And because there's a compliment in there, that overrides all the other opinion. That is true. You are. So on television, you can see at least that there's nobody there. But on the radio, you're sort of lying to the audience. But if they've agreed to the lie, is it still a lie? Am I thinking too much about this?
I think you've got yourself a thesis in the making on this one, to be honest.
Okay, we'll see. Fake crowd noise worked great last night on Sky. Surprised me would be all in for giving it a go on radio, says Mark and Lucan.
Yeah, I mean, watching it in the office last night, a flick between the two, and the one with crowd noise just seemed better.
Right.
It's like it's an intangible thing, but for whatever reason, even though it's fake, even though it's piped in, even though you can quite clearly see that there isn't a sinner in the ground, for some reason the crowd noise worked.
It's just the familiarity. And else for us?
The chair of the FA's Inclusion Advisory Group wants clubs to commit to improving diversity in positions of leadership. Paul Elliott, the former Chelsea defender, is working to create what he calls meaningful targets. He's welcomed the Premier League decision to promote Black Lives Matter, but says it will be an empty gesture if not followed up with something more substantial. Odds-on favourite Stradivarius completed a hat-trick of Gold Cup wins at Royal Ascot today. The Frankie Dettori men, trained by John Gosden, of course, came home ahead of 11-1 shot Naif Road with cross-counter in third. A 10-length victory today, the winning margin. And Dettori was surprised at how easy he had things.
It went like a hot knife through butter, really. I mean, I had everybody covered by the four. I was surprised. Then I didn't have anyone to challenge me. And it's always that scary moment when you get to the furlong marker, will he pick up or not? But I did. And he stretched away by 10. Amazing. I'm so proud of the horse. It's been a joy to be around. We go down with one of the great stayers like Yates and Sagaro. And who knows, maybe we'll try the 4 next year. He's a wonderful horse, and well done to Bjorn and John Gosden to have him so good today. And yeah, I mean, even with no crowd, I'm quite emotional and very proud moment.
The golf, Richie.
Yeah, 2 birdies in his final 5 holes today added an air of respectability to Rory McIlroy's opening round at the RBC Heritage. He carded a 1-over par round of 72 at Hilton Head. Ian Poulter is the clubhouse leader on 7 under par. He's been joined on that mark in the clubhouse by Mark Hubbard. Early in their respective first rounds, 5 and 4 holes respectively, Shane Lowry and Graham McDowell are both level par.
You'll be glad to know, Richie. You know what's coming. Golf Weekly.
Geez.
It's right there. Ronan, is it right there yet? Is the podcast up?
It's the process is underway, Nathan, but I don't know if it's available quite yet.
Let's speed it up. Let's chit chat on here and speed it up. The people are waiting. They expect it by 7:30. When the plug comes, we want it there. We did go on probably a bit long, which delayed the process. Wouldn't be like us to extend it to an hour and a half.
Strange that.
Talking about Rory McIlroy's final round last week, but there you go. It'll be up soon. Ronan.
It's quite extraordinary, Nathan, that some of the longest golf weeklies I've ever encountered came when there was absolutely no golf happening, which some of them stretching to an hour 40, some getting close to 2 hours, but hopefully this one's a bit more in the realms that people digestible, I'd say.
Well, the golf isn't the star of Golf Weekly, Ronan, I think is the key point, you know.
Peter Lowry.
Peter Lowry is the star of Golf Weekly. Yeah. Lads, as Liverpool get the Guard of Honour walking onto the pitch to the strains of tip, 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 it'll be a moment for the ages in Derry. And the green and red of Mayo as they're lifting the trophy.
No, we want it to be realistic.
Oof, harsh. All right. We got to leave it at that, lads. Richie, thank you as always.
Mind yourself.
Ronan, a lot of hard work still for you to do this evening. Get to it. All right.
Cheers, Nathan.
Thanks for that. All right, so plan for the evening. Football show. John Giles will be on the football show picking his all-time Celtic Rangers combined 11. After 8 o'clock, we've got Keith Wood's State of the Union, this week focusing on the women's game. And we'll also hear from Brian Kerr, his thoughts on last night's game, but also the personal reflections he's been having about the conversation that's ongoing about racism at the moment. Really good stuff from Brian Kerr, that between 8 and 9. But John Giles will be with us, as always, next, and he'll be looking back at the return of football up next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
After months of hard choices, it's time for something else. To choose brighter. Choose a 202 Seat. Choose to take a 3-month payment break. Choose an online discount